I am the Namer, guardian of the names of power. Before your world even existed, my people were an ancient race. Now they are gone, and only I remain, keeper of my people's history. Across the endless tracts of space have I traveled, to return to the planet of my birth, Zoidstar. Though my people perished long ago, and their cities were buried by the shifting sands, the machines remain. It is these that have brought me here to perform the last act of the Zoidarian race, the giving of the names of power. When my race was young and had an interest in the affairs of the galaxy, they built the machines, mighty engines of destruction which gave the power of life and death over the other creatures in the galaxy. The Zoidarians turned their gaze outward and laid waste to 1,000 star systems with their machines, their Zoids. But ruling a galaxy was not enough for the Zoidarians. It was not the conquests, but the battles they enjoyed. And though all intelligent life trembled in the shadow of the Zoids, my people battled on, machine against machine, Zoidarian against Zoidarian, in the further pursuit of glory. Zoidarian lives were needlessly sacrificed to the god of battle, and the race dwindled in numbers until the elders outlawed the Zoid duels. But they couldn't outlaw the Zoidarian love of combat. The Zoidarian pilots of the giant war machines were replaced by androids, and thus the heroic combat could continue without threat to Zoidarian life. Too late came the order. Too late to save a once mighty race from extinction, and now only I remain. Only I and the Zoids. And though my people created the Zoids, I have no power to control them. For the war machines have become the living embodiment of the Zoidarian thirst for combat, with lives and wills of their own. They exist only to fight, to ensure that their heroic combat lasts for all eternity. Now I stand on the sand-blasted surface of a world I used to call home, high on a rock, scanning the horizon for some sign of movement, knowing that out there, behind the sand clouds, lurk the deadliest war machines in the universe. It begins!
With science breakthrough, Earth technology evolves, Zoids are new. Dense green armor shell, heavy gun set, Cannontortoise takes aim at Empire Met. On planet Z, the second war rages, Republic fights empire through history pages. Combat Zoids on both sides fight for control. Cannontortoise artillery takes its toll. Cannontortoise artillery war Zoid. Cannontortoise green armor shell droids. Cannontortoise empire Zoids away. Cannontortoise artillery war Zoid. Cannontortoise the green armor shell droid. Cannontortoise empire Zoids away. Cannontortoise jungles break the day. The stakes raise as superior Zoids come, superior designs forged to the war drum. Limitless empire will win or die trying, so Cannontortoise will send the Zoids flying. With strong armor shell, he'll turn any attack. Cannontortoise sunder Zoids with mighty crack. Mighty guns keep them safe from being overrun. Helic artillery, Zoid shines under sun. Cannontortoise artillery war Zoid. Cannontortoise guardian of Republic lands. Helic artillery shower steel rain. If Xenophus comes again, they will obey. Cannontortoise, artillery war Zoid. Cannontortoise, green armor shell droid. Cannontortoise, empire Zoids away. Cannontortoise, artillery war Zoid. Cannontortoise, the green armor shell droid. Cannontortoise, the armor shell droid. Cannontortoise, empire Zoids away. Cannontortoise, the blues break the day. The cost. Blue Zoid factory turns out new designs for the coming of red Zoids marks the signs. Mighty engines of war with black steel shells. The cannons stomp, but Mantra's power swells. Cannontortoises with black armored shells. Cannon, blast red Zoid army where it dwells. Cannon, artillery power compels. Cannon, red mutants for whom the bell tolls. Cannontortoises with black armored shells. Cannon, red Zoid army where it dwells. Cannon, artillery power compels. Cannon, red mutants for whom the bell tolls. Reports come in of red Zoid devilry. Blue Zoids must answer before revelry. Dispatch saber with the cannons in tow. Mountain Lord command the Tortoise Zoids slow. The great cannons lumber in single file. Behind saber in hot war pursuit trial. Through canyons and ravines they stalk their prey. Stalwart mechanized Tortoises hold sway. Cannontortoises with black armored shells. Cannon, blast red Zoid army where it dwells. Cannon, artillery power compels. Cannon, red mutants for whom the bell tolls. The crisis strikes as cannons are ambushed. Croc swoops down with laser blast to make them push. Mistaken Hellcat join the canyon fray. Cannons destroyed and sabers sent to dismay. Cannontortoises with black armored shells. Cannon, blast red Zoid army where it dwells. Cannon, artillery power compels. Cannon, red mutants for whom the bell tolls. Cannontortoises with black armored shells. Cannon, blast red Zoid army where it dwells. Cannon, artillery power compels. Cannon, red mutants for whom the bell tolls. For quite a minute of red Zoid devilry. Blue Zoids must answer before revelry. Dispatch saber with the cannons in tow. Mountain Lord commands the Tortoise Zoids slow.
It is the never-ending battle between red and blue Zoids. It has been waged for centuries. It rages still, with no end in sight.
The Namer, last of the Zoidarians, guardian of the names of power, keeper of the legend of heroic combat, have spoken. broken.